There's 7 of them. I'll go through the list and read them real quick, and then we can kind of diagnose each of them. They list Rodgers, Pickett, Russell Wilson, Matt Corral, Malik Willis, Mason Rudolph, and Carson Strong. I don't think I missed anybody. I think that's 7 names there. Rodgers, okay, he's 38. He plays exceptionally well. Is there a money issue? I don't know. The cap's going up. There's going to be a want issue, though. He's also going to want to bring Devontae Adams with him, one would think. The Steelers could maybe afford both of them, but I don't know. I don't know if that's a match made in heaven or not.
He's also not going to want to play behind an offensive line that might get him killed. So as much as we talk about the baby steps forward this line has taken, I don't think as it's currently constituted, Aaron Rodgers would want to play behind it.
Right.
No, plus there's the cost of getting him.
Right.
Right, if you had to trade for him. But I think what the
he's going to have to take a Brady-type deal in order for that to happen. I think. It'll be something like that. All right, second guy, Pickett. Now, there's a lot of different sways on where he could be drafted, where he couldn't be drafted, and it also comes down to the Steelers, would they want to go with a draft pick or would they want to go with a free agent? I mean, that's a big deal, too. This is all provided Roethlisberger's not coming back, that report is true, that he's not going to come back, and that they like Pickett as an NFL quarterback. I mean, that's another fact.
I still stand by my belief that I think it's better for Kenny Pickett to end up somewhere other than Pittsburgh. Because I think the expectations would be a little too high for him out of the gate right here because of what people have seen from him.
Like, for me, geographics and team, they don't have anything to do with it. Like, that's just my thought on all of it. It's not a factor in any of it. I just think they look at it and they say, does he fit our system? Would we rather go free agency route or would we rather draft him? Do we think he'd be a good Steeler quarterback? No matter if he spent 4 years or 6 years, whatever, playing for the team next door or not. I mean, I don't know. Pickett, I think, would fit what they want to do.
I think he does. He's mobile enough. You know, I mean, he's not. He's mobile enough, and he can throw.
Russell Wilson, that to me is, I don't know. It would depend on Wilson deciding to leave Seattle. He's in his earlier 30s, and so he might be looking for another bigger payday than what the Steelers could offer.
And like Rodgers, as Jim pointed out, you're going to have to pay a pretty penny to Seattle. And they can't afford to give up a ton of draft compensation if they want to continue to rebuild the offensive line.
Well, and they're going to have to pay Deontay Johnson at some point, Minka Fitzpatrick, if they decide they want to do that. They can't get in a bidding war for a guy like Russell Wilson. Matt Corral, I've watched Matt Corral. I like Matt Corral's game, and he's projected to be taken as high as number 3. He could slide all the way to 15. One thing that scares me about Matt Corral is he's 6 feet. I mean, he's not this guy you think that is that big-time, huge. I don't know how much that I trust Matt. If it came down to Matt Corral or Kenny Pickett.
I'd take Pickett.
For me, it's a push, like at best. It's not like I've seen in what I've seen from Matt Corral that he is this sure bet great NFL quarterback or even starter. Like,
right.
I don't see the disparity or the difference much.
I didn't see enough from him down the stretch, especially.
Yeah.
He seemed to fall off a bit there in the last month.
Well, there's 2 quarterbacks of that stature that were noteworthy in Drew Brees' case, and the other one's Wilson. Wilson's not very big.
But those are exceptions to the rule, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And now Malik Wilson at Liberty. He started off his career at Auburn. He was good. I watched a couple Liberty games. He's a mid to late first-round pick for me, maybe falls into the second round. I don't think he's somebody that you look and you circle and you go, that in the Steelers should be in this position probably. That's our quarterback for a decade.
Here's where the only way I think Malik Willis makes sense is if
Did I say Wilson? I meant Willis. I apologize.
No, it's okay. I think if they are absolutely gung ho on we're going to give Rudolph a year or Rudolph and or Haskins a year, and they would be willing to bring Willis in and get him coached up, right? Refine him. Then that could make sense because, again, we're talking about a mobile guy who's wonderfully athletic. You want to compete in a division against Lamar Jackson, that might make sense.
Carson Strong at Nevada, he's big, he looks big, he is big, he can wing it downfield, but he can't move. I watched a couple Nevada games, and it's really odd for a Nevada quarterback, and when you think of Nevada quarterbacks, to be able to get out and wiggle around and do all kinds of – he can't do that.
He's not Kaepernick. Yeah.
No, not at all.
Tomlin's not going to go for that.
No.
Based on what
he's been saying. He's exactly the opposite of what Tomlin says about a mobile quarterback. I mean, the kid is wiry and he's probably 6'5", 220 pounds, but he can put on weight, but I don't see him outside the tackle box do anything.
And the refinement that we talked about Willis needing, Strong's going to need almost as much of that as well coming from Nevada, and doesn't have the athletic ability to get him out of trouble when he does find himself in a bad spot.
So where this begins, does it end? The last guy on this list, is it right back to Mason Rudolph being your quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2022?
I think it does. And look, he may get unseated at some point by Dwayne Haskins if he plays really poorly. They may see him play just well enough to be, a 9-8 wild card team because of the defense on the other side of the ball from him. But I think it's a year of Mason Rudolph getting an opportunity to hold on to the gig.
I think it's going to be, they'll bring in a veteran free agent, one of those guys. Like I kind of liked our list better, right?
Mariota.
The
Guys like
Mariotas,
that.
Daltons of the world.
Well, not Dalton. That doesn't excite me at all.
Well, it doesn't excite anybody, but you're talking about a veteran stopgap to back up the guy who may not cut the mustard.
Yeah, but but that's that mobility thing with Dalton. I mean,
Sure.
He's a veteran; he can slide around in the pocket. But I don't think that's an answer.
Well, when I think mobility, I think Mason Rudolph.
Good point.
That's true, and and then Haskins is hanging around too. But I'll stand by what I said all along in training camp.
Tell us what you saw at practice, Jim.
I haven't seen anything from the guy.
More. Tell us more.
Get in trouble. Come on, do it.
Ray already broke the news that yesterday was a glorified walkthrough.
I know, right?
But no, I don't think they're, based on what I've seen, it's a limited sample size, obviously, but I haven't seen anything from Haskins. I really haven't.
No.
And I don't know how much more the coaches have seen than I have.
We're going to go round and round and round and round, and we're going to come right back to where we are. I think that the bridge quarterback may end up being the quarterback they thought was the franchise quarterback. Rudolph may end up being the bridge quarterback to a first-round quarterback.
Oh, I don't
year.
disagree with that at all.
That might be, and ended up, he may play his way from the quarterback of the future to the quarterback of the now.
I think he's already done that by virtue, again, of the Detroit game especially. He turned himself from maybe that's the future guy to that's the bridge who gets an opportunity maybe to prove something to us next year, but that's all he's going to get is an opportunity.
Keep it warm for Djokovic. Here we go.
Well, hey, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But the interesting part of that list, that when they went down the places, the people that have projected Kenny Pickett,
right,
anywhere from 3rd to like 24th, something along those lines, it's really...
Well, it's based on need, right? Not everybody on that list is going to need a quarterback, but then also how you see him fitting into your offense, too.
It depends on how much you've seen Pickett play firsthand. I really believe that. The more you've seen him play firsthand, I think the higher you've probably got him on your board because some of the stuff he's done this year has been remarkable. I think if you're one of those guys who watches cut-ups or clips, and I'm not saying that's not the way to go at this point, especially with a lot of these mock drafts that come from every single website on the internet. I think you're probably more inclined to go with guys from bigger schools, your Corrals, for example.
In fairness, though, too, and I really like Kenny Pickett, but it's also how you grade the opposition. There are some people that'll put weight into the ACC and say it's good football. There are also some people who say I can take a lesser production from the SEC because it's much harder to move the football in the SEC than it is against Wake Forest or than it is against Virginia or whomever.
I totally get that, but I'll take Kenny Pickett's 42 TDs in the ACC over Corral's 20 or whatever it ended up being in the SEC.